All right, everybody, I'm back. I hope you're doing well. Good evening. It is February the 27th. Wow. February 27th. Yeah, so this is going to be a bit of a different video. I've been normally focusing in on, stuff I find on archive.org, or sometimes it can be just videos about computers I pick up at Value Village or thrift shopping, or maybe somebody gives me a computer. That happened to me recently, which is pretty awesome. Sorry, I just need to take a quick shot before my throat gave out on me. So, yeah. So what can I tell you here? Turn down the music a bit here. Rocking out. So yeah, so I was going to basically decided this video is going to be about what I like to do when I get a new computer and add it to my collection of computers, and a way to objectively determine where it falls in terms of other systems in my collection. So in this particular case, I wanted to focus in on a particular type of software that I like to use. It's called NovaBench. I think it is version 3.0.4 from 2011. I got this years and years ago in 2011, and I've been using it ever since. And what I like about it is that it's one of those pieces of software that sort of kind of fits into the right space, because it'll run on Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP. So those are primarily the systems that I actually end up collecting. And so this gives me a way to objectively benchmark each system, but not in a complicated way where, like some systems just couldn't even run a benchmark. So in this particular case, I happen to be using right now, I keep all my systems and the stats for them in a Works database, which is, you're thinking, oh, why Works, man? That's just so outdated. Yeah, but you know what? It's super simple. So right now, it's super easy to use and fast to get, up and running. So here's what I do with each system is I kind of basically have a bunch of criteria that I capture in this database, and the database allows me to sort it by the highest ranking to lowest ranking NovaBench scores. And so in this particular case, I'm using NovaBench to score my performance. And it basically takes a look at the RAM, gives you a score. The CPU gives it a score. Graphics gives it a score along with a frames per second rating. And then it gives a hardware score, which is primarily the speed of your hard disk. So if you had like a flash drive or something like that, then, or SSD, it would score way higher. But anyway, that's how it accumulates the score to give you the ultimate score of, in this case, 816. And so far, of all the Value Village finds that I've come across, this is the highest ranking system in my collection. So it's a small form factor HP Slimline from 2015, running a Skylake i3 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, not a bad system. And so I don't know if this kind of makes sense to you, scoring my systems and ranking them this way, because that way I can look at all these different scores and I can take, like in this case, there's 38 computers in my collection at this point that have scores, and I can go from the worst scoring to the highest scoring and sort of get an idea of where they all fall. So are you wondering which is the worst scoring computer in my collection? Let's find out. Ooh, it's a Lenovo ThinkPad R60E. Ooh. And I was hoping, I had higher hopes for that computer. But yeah, objectively, it's pretty crappy. Primarily because of the graphics score. It scores a 1. So it just doesn't have the graphics capabilities. Whereas, if we go to the next one over, it actually scores worse, I think, in the CPU. Let's take a look. Yeah, 101. Oh, no. No. No, the poor ThinkPad just doesn't cut it. Anyway, so the Inspiron 1501 with the old Sempron is kicking its ass. Oh. And then, of course, we have the next lowest is the ThinkPad Z60, which is running like a single core processor. It still beats out the double core, because this is actually a dual core system. But yeah, hard to believe, but the Z60M beats it out for objective score, and particularly even in the graphics category. So anyway, this is just a way for me to kind of look at each of my systems and see where they all shake out. Like, for example, if I get a system that, say, scores 500, I can look at that one and go, hey, okay, that's the one that scores 500, so Sony. How does it compare to other ones around it? Well, I got a Pavilion, a couple of Pavilions that are scoring a bit higher, and, then I got some laptops that are scoring better. Like, for example, this Asus. There's a couple of Asus that score better. So it kind of gives me an idea of where it kind of shakes out. So, anyway, that's kind of what I had in mind for this particular video, talking about, hey, how do you score your systems? How do you kind of objectively think about your systems? As well as, for example, so that's one way of kind of analyzing my systems. The other thing that I like to use is just like spec programs. So spec program I like to use is Specky. So it kind of gives you a nice way of capturing the data for your systems. So, for example, this particular system's running Windows 10, 64-bit, gives you the CPU, RAM, motherboard, graphics, and you can kind of dig down deeper into each one and look at what kind of aspects they have. For example, the Skylake, what South Bridge it's using, stuff like that. What kind of temps it's running. That's another thing. This thing actually gives you a few temps. So if there's sensors, it'll pick them up. So this is obviously running quite well. Super low. So yeah, this is a great piece of software. I particularly like the idea that it captures your temps. I had a system once that I was running, and the graphics card was shot, and it was generating like temperatures of over 100 degrees. And without running this, I probably wouldn't have noticed. But I happened to run it, and I saw this crazy 105 degree temperature on the graphics card, and it was like, okay, better take that out. So anyway, kind of a nice piece of software. So what are some of the things you guys use? I don't know. I think CPU is always a classic. I love the way it's so compact, and it kind of captures all the details of your CPU, motherboard, memory, each memory slot, what's in each memory slot. This is only actually running one memory slot, but has expandability. Graphics, what kind of graphics you got going on. You can actually benchmark it against other CPUs, but I don't really use that much. A lot of times, if you do have a decent graphics card, it's good to find out what's going on with that. And for that particular process, I've run across this software called GPU-Z, which gives you all kinds of details regarding your graphics card. In this case, it's just running the Skylake, graphics. But if you do have a actually discrete graphics card, it can give you all kinds of details about the graphics. In this particular case, also it kind of gives you what kind of technologies it can use, which is kind of useful for if you're into gaming. It gives you all kinds of sensor information. If it's DirectX compatible, which ones it's compatible with. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's kind of a useful piece of software. And one of the things none of these really address that well is the hard drive health and things like that. So I think a piece of software I always fall back on, I'm sure you guys all use it too, is Crystal Disk Info. For spinning disks, nothing beats having this around, because you can get an idea of how old the hardware is. So in this particular case, we're dealing with a hard drive, an actual physical hard drive, not a SSD, and it's been spinning for, it looks like, a couple of years. And yeah, it gives you all your basic details, and then if there are issues, it'll always flag it and give you a warning. So I find this thing's great. It gives you temperature and stuff like that. So that's going to be it for this particular video. It's just not my normal video, but I just thought, hey, this is a great way to kind of talk about some software for a change. And what do you guys use for speccing out your systems, figuring out what you got in there, and kind of giving yourself a comparison from one system to another. I find this particular software has been really useful for me in giving me a good idea of a kind of a benchmark of what each system is sort of rated at. And what I find most interesting is not so much the processor speed, because I never seem to have trouble getting processor stuff done. It's the graphics. This score here means more to me most times than any other score, because it tells me that I can actually run some kind of, well, it could be a game, but I don't do a lot of gaming, but even just running like a video on YouTube or something, it's going to do way better if you got a good graphics score. So that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little walkthrough software stuff. It's a kind of a new one for me. I don't really do this kind of software thing, but got to try different things. And these are actually things I use, and I feel strongly about them, that they're great things to add to your system. So if you haven't used them, use them. Try them out. And that's going to be it. So I hope you're having a good evening. I hope life is treating you well, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.